No.
Hello, hello. Kate, how are you?
I'm here.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. Welcome. Kate, what's behind that response?
Um, I just have a lot of like really urgent deadlines, and I was like, oh, I might just skip today. And then I was like, no,
Yes.
I'm
Well done,
here.
Kate. Well done. Stitching time saves nine. Absolutely. Di, how are you feeling today?
I'm good, thank you, Laura. Yeah, I feel a little bit. I'm not feeling like 100% like ready to go, but feeling blessed as well. So I had a good break, and it's
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
that's it. You have to kind of just get on the wheel and start going, don't you? And it
Yes.
turns
Yeah.
quite
Yeah. Yeah.
slowly in January,
Yeah.
doesn't it? In the cold. It
Yeah.
does, but you've got to just celebrate every little thing you've moved forward.
Um.
So why don't we sort of ask around that? So what do you feel like you've got done like that you can celebrate? Because bearing in mind that we move more slowly, we hibernate at this time. We actually took the Christmas decorations down yesterday, which I'm really pleased about. I kept hearing on the radio and then I saw on the news, it's the day you take the decorations down. Sometimes I ignore it. But we did kind of gradually do it last night, and I just feel like that's a bit of an achievement. And I've actually put the Hoover around where the Christmas tree was. So that's a little celebration. Rachel, anything you're celebrating today? It can be really small, it can be big.
Um, yeah, it worked really well for me to come in. I came in on the 2nd of January,
Mm.
and I just went through, cleared my head out what and planned out what needed to be done when and things. So that was really helpful for me. So.
Brilliant, Rachel. So you just had that little bit of planning time and it was quiet, and now you're feeling organized. Noelle, Happy New Year to you. What are you
Thank you.
celebrating today?
Oh, I don't know. Being back at work, I'll celebrate that.
It's just literally an achievement in itself. Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
putting on your clothes, setting your alarm, being back in and starting to go through the emails. Doesn't matter that we've all got loads to go through. We're all in the same boat. Okay. Let's be kind to ourselves. Stuart, hello. Happy New Year to you. What are you pleased with
What are
yourself
you
about
pleased with
today?
yourself about today?
Hello, Happy New Year. It's not just me. It's we're having trouble with technology again. So it's me, Matt,
Brilliant fun.
Abby, and Beth. You can only see me.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
I'll
Wow.
take that.
I think everyone's walking
I think
past that
everyone's walking
window,
past that
looking in,
window, looking in.
and they're saying to
Does that
themselves,
work?
wow, what are those four awesome people doing together?
Is it? Sorry.
Nah, it won't work, will it?
I bet.
Ignore.
Okay, you fiddle around, guys, with the setup and see what can work for you. Claire, what are you pleased with yourself about today? What are you celebrating?
Oh, I feel quite organised in the house. We took our decorations down on Sunday. Um, what else did I do? Just felt, yeah, we had a good weekend actually. Cleaning, sorting, tidying, like
Hmm,
I just feel
hmm,
like we were ready to hit the ground running.
amazing, amazing. Okay, that's really good. And kids back at school always helps as well.
Hooray!
Right, hello, the Bible Society crew. Who'd like to celebrate something in the room? Beth, perhaps. Abby, what are you pleased with yourself about today? Who's that handsome chap? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me? The first day of snow, which looks very beautiful. If you don't have far to travel, then it's lovely.
Amazing. Love that.
Amazing. Love that.
Abby or Matt?
Abby or Matt?
You think yourself.
Yeah,
I got a cheesy one.
Okay.
Joy, happiness, and lovely things.
Ah,
I want to celebrate Abby's heart.
What should you do? Thanks, Di.
Guys, there's an
Guys,
echo.
there's an echo.
Can people hear that?
Can people hear that?
yes.
Yes. Has anyone else joined?
Yeah, we're hearing
Yeah,
ourselves
we're hearing
repeated.
ourselves repeated.
This might not work. I have to go to individual screens.
Mm.
This is not
Like
working
an
well, is it?
episode of The Office or like a documentary
It's
where
great,
the
isn't it?
camera's like panning in.
It's a
Oh,
good
mm.
camera.
Do we need to mute the big screen?
It's not
It's
on.
not on.
It's not on.
It's just there.
There is no speaker, no mic on there. We're not in, are we?
Oh, it's good
Let's
now.
see.
Oh, it's good now.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's
Can we
still
turn off
echoing
the-
there. Yeah.
there.
It's echoing off of that, that's why.
Can we turn off the sound bar?
We can turn up, you got a sound on your iPad then?
Let's try that.
Okay, so that sounds off, is it?
sounds off.
No.
Let's go through there. This ain't working, is it?
No, this ain't
Testing,
working. Can you still
testing.
hear an echo?
Testing.
Yeah, we can still
How's
hear
that
you.
echo?
We can still hear ourselves.
Okay. We'll have to go to individual screens then.
Oh. Or can you turn the volume off on the biggie so we can see you all? And then put the
Try.
volume on perhaps one of the laptops.
Where are we?
Testing, testing.
Testing.
We're still hearing the volume coming through the main
Really?
area.
It won't let me turn the sound off of this.
No, if you turn the sound off on there, it's just cast to the screen.
Yeah.
Which is odd, it shouldn't make any feedback.
Okay.
Isn't it?
Oh, well. Okay, we'll come off the main screen.
Oh, thanks for trying, guys.
Thanks for trying, guys.
Sorry.
How do I come off of this?
Recording in progress.
Testing, testing. Okay, great. We've got no repeat. Wonderful. Everybody else ready? So, Beth, hello. We're now seeing you separately. Claire, have you clocked who's together for the breakouts for in a little while? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Great. Is everybody feeling like they're comfortable and able to begin the session so that we can get going as soon as we can? I just want to say I really appreciate the work you'll have done in preparation for these sessions. You've fitted in some point. I'm really looking forward to hearing your insights on it as well and doing some really good deep dives into this material. It is so good, this material, and I'm really hopeful that you'll all get something out of it as we go in. So let's dive in now to the content and the first of our tools for today. So we're coming across to the share here, and we're going to start with our mindset for today. And that's from 1 Corinthians 12 to 31. And you'll have heard this many times, but just notice what jumps out to you today, which word or which phrase or which concept is important and feels resonant for you today. For the body is not one member, but many. If the whole body were an eye, how would you hear? The head cannot say to the feet, I don't need you. On the contrary, those parts that seem to be weaker are indispensable. But in fact, God has placed each of the parts of the body, every one of them, just as he wanted them to be. God has placed the parts of the body, every one of them, just as he wanted them to be. Okay, let's just have one or two of you quickly take yourself off mute and just tell me which phrase, which word, or which idea is resonant for you today.
God has placed.
Good. Anything to say about it?
No, just that it's, you can sort of identify with different roles and things like that, but that God placed you in that role.
God has placed you here. That's right. And that tallies with other places in scripture, doesn't it? Where it says that God has put us in a place often to let our light shine, sometimes in a place where there's darkness. So if you've experienced any toxicity around you, any difficult situations lately, over Christmas we often see family and friends, and there can be relational disorder that is flung up. Don't be surprised, because we are put as light in places where they need light, where light is needed. So don't be surprised. Wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. One more.
I'll go. Oh, there's some reverb. Those parts that seem to be weaker are indispensable.
Why did you choose that one, Matt?
Why? I suppose it's acknowledging that not every part of us as people, as humans, as human beings, whatever, are necessarily strong. And we are made up of parts which are less strong. It's the sum of all of us makes up who we are, or the parts of all of us make up the sum of who we are. Terrible English.
So good. So good. Excellent. It reminds me of that bit in scripture where it says that before their own master, a servant stands or falls. So a reminder that it's not for anyone to say to someone, actually, you're useless or your part doesn't matter. Actually, God is the one who sees the way that everything works together. And those parts that feel weaker seem to be weaker. And on our days when we feel like we're just not cutting it, who are we actually to measure our worth or our contribution in the great scheme of things? Let's trust what it says in God's word, that actually we are indispensable, and each person in our team, even if they seem weak at times, are indispensable. Obviously, that's not to say there aren't times and contexts for people to be held account for their actions, but actually that we can take this on board for ourselves. So this is really important, isn't it, to recognise that we are different and we are meant to be different. We're not meant to compare ourselves to each other, because we will always fall short of someone else's skills when we do that. But God has a purpose for the way you are wired, and he wants us to operate as one body. The body is not one member, but many. And that means that there are different conditions that are conducive to different parts of the body thriving. And that's where we get this phrase, the rules of team engagement. And it is such an important part. I've really enjoyed revisiting it today, even though I've been teaching on this for years. Whenever I come back to it, something new comes out for me. So I'm hoping to draw out some fresh insights as we look at them in turn. So first of all, the nurturer, we go first. The nurturer goes first because the nurturer in their life has never gone first. The nurturers are often those people who value others more highly than themselves, so they wait. And sometimes that can be detrimental to the team, because what the team needs from the nurturer is to hear their honest opinion and what you really think. Okay, so remember, the nurturer's weapon system is that withdrawal of care, or it's the passive of passive aggressive. It's staying silent when they need to speak up, staying silent for too long so that unhealthy scenarios continue, and actually remembering that you represent 43% of the population just might be empowering for the nurturer. Because if the nurturer won't say what they really think for their own sake, they just might say what they really think if they think others can benefit from doing it. So please do that, nurturers. And we need to create the conditions in our teams where nurturers get to speak. So what do we promise in return? We'll be considerate with how we bring critique or challenge. Nurturers are naturally sensitive. Why? Because they have been created, woven together. They have been wired with natural empathy for others. So they're sensitive as well. You don't get sensitive skin one way. You don't get it for yourself, but not for others, and vice versa. You get sensitive skin, and it works both ways. It's the inverse of a strength to be sensitive for yourself. So we need to be really careful and considerate in how we bring critique or challenge. We must bring it to liberate, remember, support challenge matrix, but we can reassure that we won't do that bluntly or inconsiderately. So the nurturers go first. As you're going through these now, just be thinking, who are the nurturers around me? Or am I a nurturer? Write down their names, nurturer, write down their names and think, how can I create conditions where they will speak up and where they will be reassured? So that's the nurturer. Next, we have the creative. And the creative goes next because we often don't hear what the creative shares. Why? Because communication is their growth opportunity. They're not always that clear in their comms. But what do we need to hear from the creative? We need them to dream big and share their ideas with us. We need to hear what they see. Why? Because they see further ahead than any other voice. They see dangers and opportunities long before others. So if we're not hearing what the creatives on our team are seeing as opportunities or as things to avoid, then we won't be able to act as healthily, as efficiently, as productively as we possibly can in leading the team. So we need the creatives not to be a perfectionist. We need them to acknowledge that's always going to be their tendency, but to allow themselves to make mistakes and to bring themselves down from perfection. And what we promise in return, the conditions we need to create for them, is to ask clarifying questions to really understand what they are saying. Now, if you're a voice that finds eloquence natural, if you're a voice that has clear communication and you're blessed with that, you might find this to be very inefficient. It's quite hard work to draw the creative voice out when it sounds like gobbledygook, the first thing they say. But if you can train yourself to hear the gobbledygook and instead of dismissing it, to think there's genius there. Let's mine for gold. I promise you, it will be a much more fun leadership experience for you as you start to realize, gosh, there's some really exciting things in there. Even if someone has a creative second voice, like my husband James does, it's been quite an exciting journey in our marriage of 15, 16 years for me to go from sometimes dismissing some of the ideas as unclear. When I love clarity, I really value clarity, to actually in the last number of years, the last sort of chunk, just seeing where these ideas have taken us is really fun. Next one, Guardian's voice. What the team wants from the Guardian. We need the Guardians to ask the difficult questions, to do the due diligence, to dot the I's and cross the T's, but they need to be invited to do this. So when I was going through this again recently, this was my aha, was when was the last time I actually asked for feedback? 30% of the population are Guardians. So we should be hearing feedback on a regular basis, even if it seems like a very small tweak or a small area where we can actually bring improvement. We want to be hearing that. If we're striving for excellence, we want to be hearing that. But we need them to understand that we will never be able to satisfy their insatiable appetite for questions. Okay, especially in a team meeting, we won't have time to go through every single thing in fine detail. So we'll give them a time limit, or we'll give them a number of questions. We'll say, okay, ask your top 3. You might have 30 questions on your clipboard, but ask us the 3. Which are the 3 most important ones? Choose those 3 wisely, and we'll stay engaged for the next 10 minutes. We'll work on those things that you see. So go to the Guardian ahead of time and put in the time, and your idea, your project, your proposal, the finished product will be so much better as a result. So that's the Guardian. Then we have the connector voice. What the team wants from our connectors is the passion. What the team wants is sell the ideas. Tell us what you see. Use your eloquence, use your imagination, be as creative as possible. Some of the most beautiful things that have been created, some of the most beautiful resources we have in the kingdom of God are those that have been produced by connectors who can combine their creativity with the eloquence and with the inspirational way of communicating that they have. So we want that. Let's not water down the connectors' passion. But what we promise in return is we may see something that you don't see. We may see a pitfall. You may have got so carried away that you've actually just undermined yourself in some way, or you haven't brought somebody in that needs to be brought in, or you may have missed something. So please don't take it as personal, and we'll try to celebrate before we critique. That's really important with the creatives and the connectors, is that we first tell them what we loved about what they have shared. But connectors, we do need you to try to put on your body armor and invite those people to kindly and sensitively help you to make it better, because they will if you can hang in there with them. Okay, next one is the pioneer. And what the team needs from the pioneer is their strategic insights. But we also need the pioneer to beware the strength of their critique. Now, I'm a pioneer guardian. Nobody has a machine gun of critique like a pioneer guardian. And if James is on this call, he would tell you that I have been on a journey, and I'm on a journey to beware the strength of my critique, because I love debate. I did PPE University. We just had a wonderful time debating ideas, throwing around, tearing down the straw. But actually, to someone that is more sensitive, that's not a kind way to communicate, and it's not helpful either. So me being aware of that has been a game changer in the relational trust that I've been able to build in leadership. So pioneers, listen to everyone else's view first. Otherwise, others will struggle to challenge it. If we make a statement, others are going to find it very hard to disagree because of how sure the pioneer can sound, even when they're not really sure. And what we promise in return, if we're with a pioneer, is we'll put our body armor on and we will provide real challenge. Actually, when you challenge a pioneer, when you challenge them rationally, bring your examples, bring your data. But when you challenge a pioneer, usually their estimation of you just goes up. They just think, great, I've learned from that. I hear that. If that person is willing to challenge me, then they're actually, even better than I thought. So these are the relationships I have with nurturers in my life, like Claire and like Steve, who you're going to meet soon as well. Steve Foster, another one of my colleagues, they're nurturers, but they are strong, confident nurturers. And when they bring me a challenge, I just know I can trust them. Our trust grows and it's exciting. So be thinking about those 5 things. And I've just put up the 5 circles of influence here just because it's important to be thinking about the rules of engagement, who there are around you. Are there people in your family? How do you liberate yourself? How can you create those conditions for yourself in your voice type? Is there someone in your family? Is there someone in your team who you would really like to liberate and help to acknowledge those rules of engagement as a game changer? So in a moment, we're going to pop back to see if there's any Q&A, but this is what we're going to do in the breakout is consider your team or family. Who comes to mind and which voice do you need to empower? Is there a voice on your team or is it yourself today? But just pick one person in one of the spheres of influence and think, how can I create conditions to help them move forward? So just capture that for yourself in your groups now. Okay, any questions here about the task? Is that clear? Okay, great. And in a minute, we'll share what you came up with. So into the breakouts, Claire, now, if you will. Share those 2 questions and then come back with any insights you've gained as well from the sessions you did in preparation. I'd love to hear your insights on these rules of engagement, what you came through with, what ideas you've got to work on. Brilliant. Hello, hello. Right, Kate's laughing away, so that's an invitation in my book to.
She finished like that.
Kate, can you share your insights? You don't have to say why you were laughing if it's personal, but
Oh, I
we
was
want to join
basically
in.
laughing. So I've recently taken on line management of Jack, who's in the HR team, like recently as of yesterday. So and I haven't line managed anyone at Bible Society before, so just kind of learning the new way of doing things. And Jack is a very high green personality, which isn't actually not one of my like higher colors. So it's just been interesting because I haven't had to think about a specific person up until now during the course. Like, right, how do I do this for this very green person? And I was just confessing to Di how green is one of my least favorite things to do, which is terrible from your HR person. And so in that sense, we'll make a fantastic team because her strengths will really complement something which is quite hard for me. Well, not hard for me, but it's not my natural preference, I guess, to go into.
So what aspects of the green do you find particularly hard, Kate?
I think I'm more of a inside say yellow blue, and I think I just like zoomed out big picture systems. So I could just sit down and spend all morning like elbow deep in a spreadsheet, and I was actually really happy like trying to figure out like holiday allowances and making sure that it gets worked out correctly across the whole organization. I love that. But to sit with one person one-on-one and figure out why their specific holiday thing is not working just feels like inefficient, and it kind of saps my energy. So while I'm doing big picture nurturing things, it's like at an arm's distance. Like I like to care for people and help everyone, but I want to make sure the whole organization is helped, and that's more energizing for me than one-on-one.
Excellent.
Time.
So good. So you're seeing in your colleague, you're seeing Jack, and you're seeing someone who complements you. So let's move it one step forward. Can you think of how you might be able to create conditions where you get to thrive and she gets to thrive as well?
Yeah, I think it's largely, I think it's just going to be building her confidence. I think she's incredibly capable. Yes, she kind of needs HR, but she's been in the organization for ages. She knows everyone. She loves people. She's got incredible intuition and has actually studied some HR stuff. She's probably got more CIPD qualifications than I do as well. And so it's just going to be building her confidence and ensuring that she feels like, yep, I know all the things that I need to do, and then feel empowered to go and do them, and not needing to come and like check up with me, but to feel like, yeah, I can really own these bits and I can really deliver like great work on that, which I think will just take time because she's only officially joined the HR team today, but she's been sort of phasing in for a while. So I think in a couple of months, she's just going to be flourishing.
So good, Kate. Thank you. I love it. I love the complementarity there and also the intentionality. Abby, can we come to you next? Hello. Oh, you're on mute.
Are you on mute? Cool. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. I was talking about Mel on my team. She's a nurturer, and it was the be considerate when we bring critique or challenge is a thing that I have really noted, because actually there was a while ago a thing that happened and I needed to talk to her about it, and I was literally just trying to find out what had happened. So I was like, we need to make sure, and I was using really inclusive language, and it wasn't like you've made this mistake. I was very much like we and us and stuff, and she still got really hurt by it. So I needed to be way more considerate in that, and I think that's what I'll do. I'll just be kinder.
Okay, excellent.
It feels like I'm being a little bit too nice, but I think for her that's what she needs.
Really good. And just recognizing that those different levels of sensitivity are there for a reason. And the body is such a good analogy, isn't it? Certain parts of the body are a little bit more sensitive than others. If you think about when you get a paper cut on your finger, it is just so painful, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that gives you the ability to be able to touch. The power of touch is through your fingers, and the other parts just aren't as sensitive, thankfully. If we give a knock to our forearm, then it's not too bad. So it's just thinking about that, like positioning of the body and how it is, helps us not to just say, oh, you're just really sensitive to someone else, or to think of ourselves or allow ourselves to be labeled as insensitive. That's not the case. Great, Abby. Well, let's go to a nurturer, because we've just had 2 examples there of how we can empower the nurturer. Beth is one. Beth, who did you choose, or which voice did you choose to think about for rules of engagement?
Yeah, I think I would say you can't be too nice.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
It's not possible. So
unless I just want to interview and say, unless you're in the protect quadrant, which is unless you're not bringing any challenge, and then that might be lopsided. Would that be fair to say, Beth? Yeah.
I felt that was all good.
Okay.
Always have a smile.
I think I was saying in my team, so there's 2 things that I think about. We've got a great spread in my team across all the voices, which is amazing. I've got a pioneer in my team, and I think they're very aware of not speaking first, almost to the point where I have to sometimes say it is okay for you to talk. I don't want them to feel like stifled, like I can't share these ideas. I have to always wait. And the other one is a quiet guardian, where I kind of feel there's somebody sat there who's got lots of questions, but almost needs an invitation to say it is okay to share those questions. We want to hear them, and maybe a bit of time to prepare before they're ready to ask as well, to give it more thought. I was just talking through those 2.
So good, Beth. Thank you. And it's a good reminder as well. We often talk about the guardian as the hardest role to play on the team, because they're quite often kind of stopping people in their flow to say, hang on, wait, have you thought about this? And that can be a really hard role to play, but that is how they bring their love. And where would we be without that guardian voice to help us, to guide us into wisdom? Matt, guardian voice is very high for you, probably primary. Could you tell us what your insight was from the...
Interestingly, it wasn't. Because I'd done my insights, and I was a creative connector, which...
Oh, I've got you as blue on here. Was that...
I did the assessment yesterday.
On the assessment, yes.
Yeah. So
but when you did your insight colours, were you blue first?
I was a blue-yellow, if I remember rightly.
Yeah. Okay. So you're between the blue and the and the silver.
So I find that really interesting. That might be the whole conversation.
I think we might need to jump on a one-on-one at some point, Matt, when things calm down a bit. Yeah. Go ahead.
So what's the question? Sorry.
Which of the rules of engagement did you pick? Which voice, and what were your musings?
I was thinking about a couple of people in my team. One is a gent called Dave, he's very much a guardian, and I know that. Well, I think I know that because he doesn't always have questions straight away. He will quite happily sit there, listen, and wait to be asked questions or to be included. And when you do that, you have a whole barrage of questions, which are very deep, some of them, and many, which you can quite happily spend ages there just discussing them. So I think there's like the rules of engagement thing, which I think you said was great. Include that person, but say, look, what's your top three? What's the burning questions that we need to cover, and the other stuff we can pick up offline, sort of thing. So that's my takeaway. And the others, I've got Lewis in the team. He's a nurturer, I believe, and there's definitely a thing about asking him the questions first. I think that's a real valid point, because he can quite happily sit there and sort of fade into the background in some meetings, but he's got really, really, really valuable insights, genuinely, and some real left field stuff which half of us haven't thought about.
So good. Is there anything we need, before we move on to liberation statements, which we're going to do shortly, is there anything else we need to be aware of with the nurturer going first? Claire, is there anything that, as a nurturer there, that you would want to remind us of? Do you feel comfortable if it's sprung on you to say something quick, straight away say something like I'm doing now?
Yeah, I think it depends on the scenario, and probably if you're offered the opportunity to go first and you don't have anything to say immediately, that doesn't mean that you won't have anything to say, but it's still brewing.
Yeah, it's good.
So be prepared to say pass. And actually, I often say with the nurturer, Sean, we're coming to you first, but you can pass. But it's great to do it in advance. What really helps is to have the agenda ahead of time, at least 48 hours if you can, even if it's just brief agenda of what we might be discussing, because we do have nurturers who like a bit of time to think. And also 50% of us are introverts, which means we do at least a good portion of thinking inside our minds and not outside. We're not external processors. So it's really important to give people a bit of time and to create a culture where this is normal. One of the teams Claire and I've worked with over the last few years does have a nurturer called Sean, and it's a leadership team of 5. And she was terrified at first of going first. But now she just expects it. She's ready. She's very happy to say pass, or to say actually this. And there's low stakes. When you create a culture where there's that kindness, there's that environment of sharing, and where you're allowed to pass and they know in advance, then you will hear from every voice, and it's a game changer for productivity. Now, I'm aware that 4 of you haven't yet said anything, and I'm going to come to you first for the next section. But before I do, is there anything anyone is burning to say on rules of engagement before we move on to liberation statements?
For another time. But I just wondered if this kind of way of labeling people or sorting people works with people that are also neurodivergent, or if it's a different thing, or I don't know.
Yeah, brilliant question. So we do a lot of work with leaders who also have neurodivergent titles as well, and we see these titles or these labels as opportunities, as diversity, to help us with personality diversity, rather than cages to put ourselves in, their coats to try on rather than boxes to fit into. So we need to have lots of caveats whenever we do this work, which we always do. Or, the beginning of it is, if it feels restrictive, then be curious about why. And also we've got to be very sensitive in how we talk about these concepts. But there is overlap for sure between neurodiversity and certain voice orders. And I've found a number of leaders I've worked with who also have a neurodiversity diagnosis or neurodiverse traits, but not a diagnosis, say, that helps explain why that's my tendency. And some of it might be down to the neurodiversity piece, but some of it isn't. Some of it is actually personality based as well. So, for example, James has ADHD diagnosis, my husband. He's Connected Creative Pioneer, and it's the P of Myers-Briggs. It's the ability, the superpower to think at tangents and to link things really quickly that can often feel like speed in your mind as well. And we've just learned to value that as a massive superpower and a strength. And he's a teacher, and he's clear, but he has that diagnosis as well, which makes him really able to help others who have you know, that to other neurodiversity diagnoses as well, to see that there's overlap, but sometimes they are separate, but usually they are very interconnected. And we've just noticed certain trends as well with certain neurodiversity and certain personalities, which is quite interesting as well. But so often it's that flipping it and going, okay, this is my growth opportunity, but this is the superpower I have that probably leads to, and we all have those. So there's more similarity. I think it creates a nice level really of appreciating what people have, rather than just being not neurotypical because of our education system and the way it values people. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that or anything else from anyone? Okay, great. So hold that thought. More coming. So we're going to now dive into the liberation statements section. So let me recap this. I'm really excited to do so, actually, because it's always just such an important body of work. So let's go into the reason we're doing this. So I love this quote from Sting. If you love somebody, set them free. If you love somebody, set them free. If we love someone, we want them to be free. We don't want to control them. Real love brings freedom. And actually, how can we set the people in our family, our team, and even ourselves free? How can we show love to them and set them free? Well, it will be different for different types of people. There'll be different tendencies, and a good way is to ask them, how can I create conditions where you feel able to bring your best, where you feel truly liberated? And that's what we're doing. And that's why we're using the word liberation for liberation statements, because it joins up with the support challenge matrix. How can I create the conditions where high support and high challenge are calibrated so that you feel empowered in what you do? So I'm not stifling your growth by protecting you. And I'm also not creating manipulative fear for you so that you're doing it, you're kind of taking ground, but it's only out of fear. I'm actually creating conditions that are really healthy for you, green for growth. So how can I do that for each of the voices? Well, Steve took you through some examples and invited you to create your own statement. So I'm really looking forward to you sharing those first with each other in the breakouts, and then hopefully some of you with all of us. So what does it look like for each voice? So there's a number of examples. You'll already have seen them in your prep. But what I thought I'd do is just flash them up here, but then also just dig into two. The first one being my own. I'm willing to go first. I have to do that sometimes to just set an example. So here is mine, my pioneer example. I need you to respect my competence. Please don't judge me for being competitive and wanting to change the world. Invite me to help solve your problems. I love doing that. Understand that I can find it hard to move slowly and be in the present. Please be aware that I am trying hard to be a good friend, but I won't always get it right. Encourage me to dream and take risks when the time is right. Encourage me to go for opportunities involving impact on a big scale. That's what I dream about. So that's my example as a pioneer. Wow. And sometimes the pioneer Reds, we can sometimes, give ourselves a hard time, and also we can get a hard time, sometimes understandably and rightly so, when we're accidental. But actually, that's what's going on in the heart of the pioneer. Hopefully the liberated pioneer is God has wired us to be able to try to create big impact. And if we're benevolent, for healthy growth for many. And that making big changes that can actually impact a lot of people. And that's when I can get really excited and feel liberated, is influence and impact for many, many individuals. But I don't have, listening to what Kate was saying earlier, those big picture voices, they don't have the patience to be in the one-to-one with the kind of careful attention that the nurturers and the guardians can do. And I've made peace with that. That's okay. That's okay. All right, now over to Claire, because Claire is kindly going to share her example as a different voice, which I think you know by now what it is.
Okay, so I need you to hear and value my contribution and ideas. Please ask me questions to understand what I'm trying to say, and don't judge me on what I say first. Encourage and believe in me even when I struggle to believe I am good enough.
Okay, Claire, so that was your example from 2 or 3 years ago, I think, when you first wrote.
Yeah, 2023, wasn't it? Yeah.
So 2023, 2 years ago. Can you update us on where you got to since then?
Yeah, so I think that when we were going through Altitude, I had been a stay-at-home mum for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, and I was going through the process of retraining. So I was really lacking in confidence. I just, found starting again, I found it really hard. And having been so, literally up to my elbows in nappies and everything else, it was a real change.
So since then, you've looked at this statement, didn't you? And what were your reflections?
It doesn't. I don't resonate as strongly. I think probably I need more. I need to reword that. But also we've got a little added extra in. So spend quality time with me and join me in caring for others, even when you don't perceive it as important.
And what's the difference between that last sentence, encourage and believe in me, even when I struggle to believe I'm good enough? Why did it end there? But now you've added this extra piece. That's what I'm curious
I think
about.
because I've spent so much more time now working one-to-one with other people, and as part of a team, with you, with James, with Lizzie and Lucy. So yeah, it's and also my partner Paul started working for a new company, and I feel like I'm kind of coaching him to be able to deal with his team members. So yeah,
you've liberated yourself. So it's lovely, isn't it? So back a couple of years ago, it was about confidence. It was about taking ground in the confidence space. And now you're actually saying what's important and others to join. You're inviting others to join you in what's important. It's a massive step. And it's exciting just to see that transformation in ourselves when we write a statement about where we're at. And let's be honest about where we're at now. But if we walk in it and if we practice these tools, you may well see that statement evolves over time, which is really exciting to see. Okay, so breakout 2 are these 2 questions. What is your personal liberation statement? Are you happy to share that with the other person as a draft? It doesn't have to be perfect. And also this other question, who needs to hear this? Who would you like to hear your liberation statement? Is there anyone in your life? And this might be something just to share with in twos. You might not want to share it with the whole group, and that's fine. But to be able to say, actually, I'd love this person to know this about me, that might just be helpful. Okay, any questions on liberation statements before we go and process those? Okay, when you're ready, Claire, pop back in. So do make sure each person gets chance to share as well in the pairing.